Usain Bolt. It's a name etched into the history books, and a name that will likely be carried forward in the minds of everyone on the planet for years to come. But could the fastest man in the world ever be overthrown, called by a new name with a new form? Scientists have finally weighed in to give a definitive answer. We'll be covering that and more in today's video. First up, the fastest man in the world. Few world records are as widely discussed as that of the fastest time to sprint 100 meters. The act itself is one of the purest demonstrations of human ability, and the progression of the record shows us how humanity is constantly improving as time goes on. Without having seen sprinting events or feeling the need to, one need only look at the change in the record holder's time to appreciate what humanity is capable of. But one man has thrown a gear into the works. One man has made the world stop and ask if there's a limit to humankind's physical abilities. That man is, of course, Usain Bolt. Up until Bolt, the world record has continuously been shifting hands and decreasing in time. There were, of course, exceptions, but none have sat so comfortably at the top as Bolt has since he set his record in 2009. In fact, it's such a comfortable position that many believe the record can never be broken. And now, scientists have finally decided to weigh in and conduct a study into the sprinting limit of the human body. Specifically, they looked into whether the human body can achieve a sub-9-second time on a 100-meter sprint. Next, can the record be broken? It's been 13 years since Bolt broke his own record of 9.69 seconds, and since then, no one's come close to his current record of 9.58. Many have tried for sure, but no one has succeeded, not even Bolt himself. It begs the question, will anyone ever beat Bolt? And even if someone does, could they ever hope to beat the 9-second barrier? Polly McGuigan and Aki Salo are among those that carried out the research, and they've come out with an interesting answer. The paper is of course speculative, based on biophysics that consider the structure of the human body and the position and strength of leg muscles. Though at first glance, many might be inclined to say running sub-9 would be impossible, the pair of researchers say it's well within the realm of possibility. Their findings report that a combination of genetics and training are of course of prime importance in producing high calf and posterior muscles that are more robust than those of current sprinters. That may seem obvious, but they provided further details on what exactly the composition of muscles would look like to produce the kind of power that's required. They specifically said that these muscles would need to have a high proportion of large, fast-twitch muscle fibers, which can generate more force, much more than what we currently see in sprinters like Bolt. Thirdly, opposing views. McGuigan and Salo's findings suggest that it is definitely a possibility for humans to run sub-9 times in a 100-meter sprint. They're both of the mind that someone will definitely break the barrier, but they think it'll happen quite some time later. Perhaps none of us will live to actually see it, but it will happen according to them. However, not everyone agrees with that, and quite a few scientists are of the mind that it's entirely impossible for us to break the barrier. It's uncertain at this point, but it can't be disputed that humanity is constantly evolving, and that there do exist examples in nature of things that do run fast enough to break that barrier. Now, what we think is possible. It might be too early to simply discount that we'll ever be able to break the 9-second barrier. Back in the day, people probably believed the 10-second barrier couldn't be broken, but Jim Hines proved everyone wrong in the late 60s. Bolt probably never thought he'd be able to break Powell's record, but he did so, and then improved on his own time, and then did it once more. What's even more important to note is that when he broke his record the second time, the wind speed at his back was almost zero. That means that he could have likely gone well past 9.69 if the conditions were favorable during that fateful Olympic event. What we're getting at is that whenever a record is broken, no one really expects it to happen, least of all the people that break them. And in the case of Bolt, he might have even been able to push the envelope further, making an even shorter time the mark for what people think couldn't have been outdone. Lastly, the future of sprinting. Having talked about the fact that records are fickle and humanity has historically always outdone itself, we've got to talk about the people that might soon be harbingers of that change. Bolt began as a young sprinter, breaking records in the youth categories of championships, and he eventually went on to become the fastest man in the world. The careers of the young cannot reasonably be ignored when you're discussing the future. Therefore, we need to shed light on one of the most exciting prospects in this sport. The U20 World Championship recently took place, and a youngster by the name of Letsili Tebogo stole the show on the track. Tebogo hails from Botswana and ran the 100-meter sprint. His story is very much like that of Bolt's during the Beijing Olympics. He blazed past his opponents, and just before he finished the race, he took a look around and noticed he was miles ahead, slowing just as Bolt did all those years ago. When he finally finished the race, he was in complete shock to find that he'd shattered the world record he'd previously set, clocking in at 9.91 seconds, 0.05 of a second faster. That's exactly what we're talking about. He's a testament to the fact that we're constantly evolving and improving. We can't wait to see what's next for Tebogo, and we can't wait to see the day when someone finally breaks the 9-second barrier. May it be Tebogo or someone else. Next, in other news, Olatunde leads the Irish sprint revolution. The European Championships recently took place, and Israel Olatunde just took 10.19 seconds to make history. At the championships, Olatunde took to the field for the 100-meter sprint, and when the race was done, he'd come out on top with a national U23 record for Ireland. He shaved 1/100 of a second from the previous record record set by Paul Hessian in Finland in 2007. What's even greater is that he didn't have the 1.9 meter per second wind at his back that Hessian did. The conditions were almost dead calm when Olatunde made his run. Olatunde doesn't just have the natural talent to take the track. He's also made it a point to study the greatest sprinters in history to gain technical knowledge of the sport. He's worked on his patience in terms of his race plan as a result of that study, and it's clearly worked out like a charm for him. He's still only 20 years old, so he has a lot of space for improvement. It's only a matter of time before he's running sub-10 sprints. Next, Marie Talu shatters sprint record. Marie-Josée Talu recently made history when she shattered the African record for the women's 100-meter sprint at the Diamond League this month. Though she finished third behind Jamaican Sharika Jackson and Shelly-Ann Fraser-Price, she clocked in at an amazing 10.72 seconds. That is well beyond her personal best, as well as the African record in the event. She could hardly contain herself following the race, with pictures showing the young athlete almost on the brink of tears. Thirdly, Lyles breaks 26-year-old record. The World Athletics Championships recently took place at Eugene, Oregon, and there was a stunning amount of skill on display. One of the greatest highlights of the track events was definitely Noah Lyles, who faced athletes from around the world in the 200-meter sprint. Lyles had blazed down the track, almost a blur, and finished with a time of 19.31 seconds. That put him just ahead of Michael Johnson's record time of 19.32 seconds, which was set as a world record back in 1996 in Atlanta. However, the world record then passed on to Usain Bolt, who set a time of 19.19 seconds. Still though, Lyles' time means that he'd set a new American record, and that's an amazing achievement. In fact, Lyles now has the third fastest time in all of sprinting history for the 200 meters, behind only Yohan Blake and Bolt. Michael Johnson's American record has gone undisputed for almost 26 years, but Lyles finally replaced him as the fastest American in the 200. It's only a matter of time before he trims that time down even further. That's a wrap for this video. Do you think we'll ever break the 9-second barrier? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.